2 Kings chapter 6. Now the sons of the prophets said to Elisha, "See, the place where we dwell under your charge is too small for us. Let us go to the Jordan, and each of us get there a log, and let us make a place for us to dwell there." And he answered, "Go." Then one of them said, "Be pleased to go with your servants." And he answered, "I will go." So he went with them, and when they came to the Jordan, they cut down trees. But as one was felling a log, his axe head fell into the water, and he cried out, "Alas, my master, it was borrowed." Then the man of God said, "Where did it fall?" When he showed him the place, he cut off a stick and threw it in there and made the iron float. And he said, "Take it up." So he reached out his hand and took it. Once, when the king of Syria was warring against Israel, he took counsel with his servants, saying, "At such and such a place shall be my camp." But the man of God sent word to the king of Israel, "Beware that you do not pass this place, for the Syrians are going down there." And the king of Israel sent to the place about which the man of God told him. Thus he used to warn him, so that he saved himself there more than once or twice. And the mind of the king of Syria was greatly troubled because of this thing. And he called his servants and said to them, "Will you not show me who of us is for the king of Israel?" And one of his servants said, "None, my lord, O king, but Elisha, the prophet who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedroom." And he said, "Go and see where he is, that I may send and seize him." It was told him, "Behold, he is in Dothan." So he sent there horses and chariots and a great army, and they came by night and surrounded the city. When the servant of the man of God got up and went out early the next morning, an army with horses and chariots had surrounded the city. "Oh no, my lord, what shall we do?" the servant asked. "Don't be afraid," the prophet answered. "Those who are with us are more than those who are with them." And Elisha prayed, "Open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see." Then the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he looked, and saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire, all around Elisha. As the enemy came down toward him, Elisha prayed to the Lord, "Strike this army with blindness." So he struck them with blindness, as Elisha had asked. Elisha told them, "This is not the road, and this is not the city. Follow me, and I will lead you to the man you are looking for." And he led them to Samaria. After they entered the city, Elisha said, "Lord, open the eyes of these men so they can see." Then the Lord opened their eyes, and they looked, and there they were inside Samaria. When the king of Israel saw them, he asked Elisha, "Shall I kill them, my father? Shall I kill them?" "Do not kill them," he answered. "Would you kill those you have captured with your own sword or bow? Set food and water before them, so that they may eat and drink, and then go back to their master." So he prepared a great feast for them, and after they had finished eating and drinking, he sent them away, and they returned to their master. So the bands from Aram stopped raiding Israel's territory. Some time later, Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, mobilized his entire army and marched up and laid siege to Samaria. There was a great famine in the city. The siege lasted so long that a donkey's head sold for 80 shekels of silver, and a quarter of a cab of seed pods for 5 shekels. As the king of Israel was passing by on the wall, a woman cried to him, "Help me, my lord the king." But he said, "If the Lord does not help you, from where am I to help you? From the threshing floor or from the winepress?" Then the king said to her, "What is on your mind?" And she said, "This woman said to me, "Give me your son, so that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow." So we cooked my son and ate him. And I said to her on the next day, "Give your son, so that we may eat him." But she had hidden her son. When the king heard the woman's words, he tore his clothes, and he was passing by on the wall, and the people looked, and behold, he had sackcloth underneath on his body. Then he said, "May God do so to me, and more so, if the head of Elisha the son of Shaphat remains on him today." Now Elisha was sitting in his house, and the elders were sitting with him. And the king sent a man from his presence. But before the messenger came to him, he said to the elders, "Do you see how this son of a murderer has sent a man to cut off my head? Look, when the messenger comes, shut the door, and hold the door shut against him. Is the sound of his master's feet not behind him?" When he was still talking with them, behold, the messengers came down to him, and he said, "Behold, this evil is from the Lord. Why should I wait for the Lord any longer?" Chapter 7. Then Elisha said, "Listen to the word of the Lord. This is what the Lord says. About this time tomorrow, a measure of fine flour will be sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel, at the gate of Samaria." The royal officer, on whose hand the king was leaning, responded to the man of God and said, "Even if the Lord were to make windows in heaven, could this thing happen?" Then he said, "Behold, you are going to see it with your own eyes, but you will not eat any of it." Now there were 4 leprous men at the entrance of the gate, and they said to one another, "Why are we sitting here until we die? If we say, 'We will enter the city,' then the famine is in the city and we will die there. But if we sit here, we will also die. Now then come, and let us go over to the camp of the Arameans. If they spare us, we will live, and if they kill us, then we will die." So they got up at twilight to go to the camp of the Arameans. When they came to the outskirts of the camp of the Arameans, behold, there was no one there. For the Lord had made the army of the Arameans hear a sound of chariots, a sound of horses, that is, the sound of a great army. And they said to one another, "Behold, the king of Israel has hired the kings of the Hittites and the kings of the Egyptians against us to attack us." So they got up and fled at twilight, and abandoned their tents, their horses, and their donkeys. Indeed, the camp itself, just as it was, and they fled for their lives. When these men with leprosy came to the outskirts of the camp, they entered one tent and ate and drank, and carried from there silver, gold, and clothes, and they went and hid them. Then they returned and entered another tent, and carried valuables from there also, and went and hid them. Then they said to one another, "We are not doing the right thing. This day is a day of good news, but we are keeping silent about it. If we wait until the morning light, punishment will overtake us. Now then come, let's go and inform the king's household." So they came and called to the gatekeepers of the city and told them, saying, "We came to the camps of the Arameans, and behold, there was no one there, nor a human voice, only the horses tied and the donkeys tied, and the tents just as they were." And the gatekeepers called and announced it inside the king's house. Then the king got up in the night and said to his servants, "I will now tell you what the Arameans have done to us. They know that we are hungry, so they have left the camp to hide themselves in the field, saying, 'When they come out of the city, we will capture them alive and get into the city.'" One of his servants responded and said, "Please, have some men take 5 of the horses that remain, which are left in the city. Behold, they will be in any case like all the multitude of Israel who are left in it. Behold, they will be in any case like all the multitude of Israel who are left in it. Behold, they will be like all the multitude of Israel who have already perished, so let us send them and see." Therefore, they took 2 chariots with horses, and the king sent them after the army of the Arameans, saying, "Go and see." They went after them to the Jordan, and behold, all the way was full of clothes and equipment which the Arameans had thrown away when they fled in a hurry. Then the messengers returned and informed the king. Then the people of Samaria rushed out and plundered the Aramean camp. So it was true that 6 quarts of choice flour were sold that day for 1 piece of silver, and 12 quarts of barley grain were sold for 1 piece of silver, just as the Lord had promised. The king appointed his officer to control the traffic at the gate, but he was knocked down and trampled to death as the people rushed out. So everything happened exactly as the man of God had predicted when the king came to his house. The man of God had said to the king, "By this time tomorrow, in the markets of Samaria, 6 quarts of choice flour will cost 1 piece of silver, and 12 quarts of barley grain will cost 1 piece of silver." The king's officer had replied, "That couldn't happen even if the Lord opened the windows of heaven." And the man of God had said, "You will see it happen with your own eyes, but you won't be able to eat any of it." And so it was, for the people trampled him to death at the gate.